Hi, welcome back to Books on the Go. I'm Anna and I'm here with my Summer HiBearNation TBR. I hope I got that right. That's the readathon that Simon Savage on Savage Reads. The tag, is it a tag? Is it a readathon? I'm not sure that he's doing, and I'll link the video down below. I am in Adelaide, which is in winter at the moment, so this is sort of bittersweet for me, although I have to say I prefer winter as a reading season. We'll have a mix of summer and winter books for this one. So the first prompt is Sunburnt, and that's a book with red on the cover, and I've chosen The White Girl by Tony Birch. So it's not an obvious pick because it doesn't look immediately sort of fire engine red, but this has got red dirt on the cover, and it's a book that's set in a small town in outback Australia, and when you go to some of those regions, the dirt really is quite strikingly red, and so it is, I think it covers the prompt, and it is, I think that's a part of the world that you could get sunburnt quite easily. So that's The White Girl by Tony Birch. I've just finished reading it, and Annie and I are talking about that on the podcast next week. So stay tuned for that one. The next prompt is Hot or Cold, a book set in a hot or a cold climate, and I've chosen, because I'm being seasonal where we are, a winter book by Tove Jansson, translated by, and I know it's important always to mention translators, but there are quite a few for this one because it's a collection. So translated from the Swedish by Silvester, Mazzarella, David McDuff and Kingsley, Hart. So this I have also just read, and it's part of my Women in Translation sort of readathon, and also just that I adore Tove Jansson, and this, or Tove Jansson, is that how you say it? And this didn't disappoint. It's a collection of stories, and they're partly, it actually fits the prompt quite well because they're partly set in winter and partly set in summer. It's divided by season, in fact. So the first stories are set in winter, and they're mainly set in Helsinki or in the city, and then the summer stories are set on the island where Tove Jansson spent a lot of time as a child and also in her later years, and is also the setting for a summer book, which I highly recommend as well. This has an introduction by Ali Smith, and I was trying to do my review this morning and I couldn't actually express any better than Ali Smith can, why the stories are so good and what it is about Tove Jansson's writing that is sort of at once magical and whimsical, but also incredibly grounded and spare and matter of fact, and quite funny at times, and just the way she can convey ideas about art and nature, but with such simplicity, but also be quite profound at times. It's wonderful, and it really does give you all the winter vibes, but also the summer vibes later on, in the later stories, going out on the boat, on the sea, and just being on the island. So highly recommended. I feel like I'm cheating because it's a TBR, but I have just read it. But it was this week. It was after the 1st of August, so it kind of is it's in the mix. It's in the HiBearNation period. So this was a winter book for the hot and cold prompt. The next prompt is Summer Sun. So it's a book with summer on the cover, or a picture, or summer in the title, I think. But in any case, at Simon's suggestion, and because I couldn't resist buying this yesterday, Summer by Ali Smith. So this just came out in Australia yesterday, which was the 4th of August. So I went to get it, and even though I want the hardback edition, actually, I don't love these big kind of paperback or trade paperback editions, but that was what was offered, so I got that, and we will be doing it on the podcast. I don't know anything about it. I haven't even looked, other than that I just had to have it. Normally I've been reading the Ali Smith seasonal quartet books within the season, so I waited before I read autumn was the first one, wasn't it? And I've read them in the season up till now, but summer I might just break out and read it in what is our winter. I don't know. Let me know what you think. Should I wait until December or can I read it now? That's Ali Smith's I have to read it now. Don't let me know what you think. I have to read it now because we're doing it on the podcast. So that will be happening. So the next prompt is holidays. This is a book that's set somewhere you've always wanted to go on holidays. For this one, I've chosen Aristotle's Way by Edith Hall. And this is How Ancient Wisdom Can Change Your Life, is it? Yes, How Ancient Wisdom Can Change Your Life. And this was recommended to me by Natalie Haynes when we interviewed her for the podcast about her fabulous book, 1,000 Ships, which I do really recommend, and it's on the Women's Prize shortlist. If you haven't got to that yet, do. It's fantastic. That's a novel, but Natalie Haynes also recommended this, and I think she did a podcast, which is Natalie Haynes Stands Up for the Classics, and one of the episodes was with Edith Hall, and so she was telling us about this book. And as it happened, my husband had also bought it and loved it, and he really recommends it as well. So I haven't read it yet. It's on the TBR, but for this prompt, all I'm going to say is Aristotle, Greek philosopher. So I'm thinking, I know that it's sort of Athens, but I'm thinking more widely just Greek islands, and the picture, that's where I want to be on holiday, basically. I'm not sure exactly where she's diving, what sea she's diving into, but I want to be there. So that is my want to go on holidays, but also it sounds like a fabulous read book. Aristotle's Way. And then the next prompt is extra. So this is the extra berry prompts. And the first one is a book that you meant to read in the first half of 2020. And I have Guapa by Saleem Haddad. And I've talked about this already before. I had picked this out for Pride Month in June. And in fact, I've had it on my shelf for about a year because I bought it in London last year. And I really want to read it, and I've picked it up actually in the last few days and then had to read other things. So I feel like I'm very close to reading it, but I didn't quite get there in June. I did read some other fantastic books for Pride Month, but this one is still to come. So that's Guapa. And the next one is Wildlife, a book with an animal on the cover. And I have two that I have just finished reading. One is Blakwork by Alison Whittaker, and that has it's a black bird. Is that a crow? Is it a raven? What are those birds called? I don't know. That's showing my ignorance about wildlife, but Alison Whittaker is an Indigenous Australian poet and author and scholar, and I think something of a genius, and this is her poetry collection. It is really bracing, it's really confronting at times, it covers everything from casual sort of racism, and she has a wonderful turn of phrase. I think it's in the first poem, that dawdling off-trend meme, white guilt. And she talks about that, but she goes into deaths in custody and bigger, heavier issues. But also there are some really satirical poems and extra and prose as well. And there are some really clever ones where she takes extracts from judgments and coronial inquests, and she extracts the most commonly used words and forms this very telling sort of poem. So I recommend it. I struggle with poetry, so there are times when I'm reading something like this that I get frustrated because I just think, what are you saying? Just tell me. I get tired of kind of having to work it out and read between the lines and sort of put the picture together, which is the work you have to do sometimes with poetry. But that's sort of a failing on my part, I think. She's really clever and really provocative in a good way. So important work. Blakwork by Alison Whittaker. I'm recommending that, and I'd love to know if you've read it, what you thought. The other one with an animal on the cover that is also quite summery is Valentine by Elizabeth Wetmore, which has a rattlesnake, I think it is, on the cover. And there's a scene with a snake in it in this book, which I won't spoil any more than saying that. This is fantastic. So I might do a wrap up and talk about it separately, but I read it when was it? End of July or early August. So it kind of counts in the readathon, but just fantastic debut, set in Texas in a drought, in a really hot sort of climate. And it's very women-centered, and it's a story cycle, so you get different women's points of view, but in this oil mining town, which is full of misogyny and really, really tough lives of these women, but it's told with great prose, great humanity, and just it really blew me away that this was a debut. So I'd love to know your thoughts. I heard I think a few months ago when it came out, lots of buzz, and then I heard nothing more. I think it must be out in the States. I don't know if it's out in the UK yet, but I really loved it. So I'm recommending Valentine with the snake and everything. Not so much summer vibes as in you want to be there, but just hot and dry, and sort of you're in the middle of the desert almost. So not somewhere I want to be, but definitely warm weather. The next special prompt was the read 24 hours in a week or 48 hours in a week. I haven't timed myself, but I've had a really good reading week so far. So we're at the 4th of August. So it's possible that we could look at 24 hours if I was timing it. So let's just say that that's happening, but I can't tell you for sure. So the other one is Summer Social. So I'll post a picture of a reading spot, your favorite reading spot, with the tag Book HiBearNation. So I will be doing that. That will be on the veranda. So I wonder if I can show you. You can see if I move this. So this might be shaky, but if I move it, I can give you a peek from where I am onto the veranda. Let's see if I can make that work. Just turn it around. That's it there. So you can sort of see there. There's the chair. You can't see it properly, but anyhow, that's the garden. And I kind of sit out on the veranda there. I don't know if you can see properly on that chair. And yeah, that is my absolutely favourite spot in summer or in winter, but summer in the evenings and winter in the morning to get the morning sun. So that's it from me. Let me know if you're doing Book HiBearNation, and I will see you soon.